Hey everyone, and welcome to the first in a new series of videos called First Impressions. Today I'm going to be talking about Sweet Blue Flowers, a yuri manga by Takako Shimura, and currently being released in 2-in-1 omnibuses by Viz Media. This series follows two high school girls, Akira Okudaira and Fumiman Jome, who are childhood friends and have recently reconnected after they realize they take the same commute to school. They don't attend the same school, but their friendship grows as they catch up with all the time lost. Now, straight off the bat, I'm going to say that this series was one of my most highly anticipated new releases for the year. I'm a huge fan of Takako Shimura, and Sweet Blue Flowers is no exception to that. Shimura's stories always have an emotionally genuine feel to them, so much so that you really feel for the characters even if you haven't necessarily been in that situation before. It's something that you don't necessarily find in yuri manga all that often, that seems to play it more up to like the fantastical dreamlike perfectionism without ever really tackling larger issues of LGBT relationships, but relationships in general. The series stands out not only in that sense, but also with how it so plainly talks about lesbianism and bisexuality, something that most series sort of tiptoe around and never fully commit to with their relationship, as well as Japan's expectations on LGBT people and sort of how they view same-sex relationships as a young person thing, and then once you get old enough you get married and have kids. Again, something that isn't necessarily ever covered in a lot of other yuri manga, and you can see just how matter-of-fact it is within society in Japan in the series. Shimura's art is really it's quite simple, but it captures reality very well. There's no need for overcomplicated designs or huge detail. The simple art style really supports the complexity of the story it's trying to tell, and in that sense does its job marvelously. The characters are nuanced and varied despite falling into pretty typical yuri tropes, and you can really understand how they all exist within this world that Shimura's portraying. Another huge thing about this manga, at least initially right now with this first volume and probably the first couple volumes, is that the main two characters are not romantically involved whatsoever. They really are just friends and supporting each other. Fumi is getting over a broken heart after her cousin has just recently gotten married, and Akira is more so trying to fit in at school, trying to adapt to life as a prestigious schoolgirl now. It's plain to see that Fumi has always had a romantic interest in girls, whereas Akira never really questioned her sexuality or how she fits in that regards, and at this point it isn't meant to be a romantic relationship between these two. They really are just exploring how they can reconnect as friends and support each other in their struggles. It's the luxury of being a longer series, but it doesn't jump right into the two main characters in a relationship. It actually explores the characters and how they interact very much more so than a lot of other similar titles. In fact, its biggest problem is probably how long this did take to be released in English, because there is so much yuri in the market available now that you're not necessarily going to get anything specific from this series that you can't get from other more recent popular yuri manga, at least in a superficial sense. So I think because of that, a lot of people might skip over this series just thinking it's another one that falls into the mold of very popular yuri right now, which would be doing the series a huge disservice. This series did previously get an anime adaptation, which was released in English in the US by Nozomi Entertainment, or Lucky Penny, and if you've seen that, all of this volume and half of the next volume were covered in that show. But as I said, this is an 8-volume long series, so there's a lot more to the story than what was necessarily shown in the anime. So this is a great one to pick up if you wanted more from that series too. Like I said, this was one of my most highly anticipated releases for this year, and it didn't let me down. I absolutely adored it, and I cannot wait for more. I hope you give this a try if you are interested in it, and I hope you enjoy if you do. Those were my first impressions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye till then.